Hey everybody, welcome to another model building workshop. I am Mr. Allen. I am coming to you from my basement workshop here in Providence, Rhode Island on behalf of the Community Libraries of Providence. And we're looking at this Italeri kit. Yes, I do like Italeri kits, for those of you who have noticed that in previous episodes. And this is the ground attack aircraft Caproni CA-313/314. Kit number 106, as I said, from Italeri, from Italy. So this is an Italian warplane from World War II. This kit's been around a little while, been reboxed a few times. And yeah, the box art shows you a lot of different options that are in this kit, which there are several really interesting variants here. I'm trying to see if there's a date on this box. Yeah, I don't see one. But anyhow, all right, let's have a look at what it says here on the side of the box for the history of this aircraft. It says it was developed from a series of twin engine planes, which started with the CA-309 Ghibli. The CA-313 first flew in 1940. The first series had a fuselage with curved nose, basically all glass, glazed, kind of like a greenhouse. But later a new nose was added that had a stepped windshield. I'll show you more of that when we look at the kit. The 313 served in various wings for observation, light bombing, and convoy escort. It operated in Russia, North Africa, and the Balkans, and also in France. It was exported to France and to Sweden. The CA-314 developed from the 313 with heavier armament and was also suitable for ground attack. Okay, that's a lot to take in. So, yeah, there she is, and the Italian markings there. Let's have a look at what's in the box. I think that's a pretty fun painting on the front here. I like this Swedish thing here. It says that there are, from what I can tell from that, is that Swedish decals are included. So it's a number of aircraft of Italian origin was sold to Sweden, and this is no exception. So here's your instruction sheet. Like I said, this has been around a while and it continues to get reissued. Here's your parts breakdown. Now, the assembly instructions are a bit busy. I have not built one of these yet. I'm looking forward to trying it. I have done the, I think it's the 311 kit that they also have out, which is a similar aircraft but with radial engines, as this one has an inline engine, among other differences. Here's what I'm talking about here when it mentions the stepped windshield is here and the glazed one there. And that, I don't think that really affected the designation of the aircraft much. We'll look at that on the back here in a second. So yeah, it's rather confusing diagrams to build this. Very busy. And there's no paint callouts for the inside. They do explain the pilots on the back, but they don't really talk about the painting here. And hopefully I can explain some of that. I think I got some of the paint sitting near me here to talk about some of that. Oops, as I almost knock everything over. So yeah, you can see all of this stuff going on. And there's also a torpedo option here, as you see at the bottom there, which is an intriguing one to build, depending on which version you want to do. They could be a little clearer here as to which version you're doing while you're building it. It could say that. I guess you're going to have to read that at the end. Here's your painting options, as well as which different configurations there are for this aircraft. Your paint colors are up on top there. listed by name. I think they're using Model Master and Federal Standard colors. That's what they're going with here. So you can see there's Sweden up top here. There's a French one. Now apparently France had placed an order in 1940 for these aircraft, but I think they only received maybe 5 of them before Italy declared war on them. So, and I think one of them was still in use with the Vichy Air Force by 1942. But of the orders that France had placed, they were, those planes were then either supplied directly to the Italian Air Force or they were sold to Sweden. So that's what happened to those. Yeah, so it says CA-313 RPB2, which has the step nose here, and the CA-313 RPB1 has the glazed nose on it. And let's see, the color combinations for the Italian 313 are, let's see, trying to read this, a little complicated. This is like a pale green and a dark green, so it's like a European color there for the green and green. The French one seems to be a tan and gray. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but that's something to look up. When I did a little digging just before I went on here for this video, it seemed like they were in kind of a sand green and brown color, like typical Italian aircraft of the period. But that's a quick search, so there could be more out there on that. And they were being used by the French for like reconnaissance and convoy duties. Let's see, the Swedish one looks like it's also, light green with dark green spots. And then we have the torpedo, I think it's the torpedo version of the CA-314C, the attack version, which has got cannons on it anyway, underwing cannons, which I think you can see there. It's got underwing cannons and guns. There's more on this. I'll show you in a book on the torpedo version. And that looks like that is in a dark green, like a European green, and light gray underneath. I think all of it are light gray underneath. Yes, they do. Okay. So that's looking at the instructions. So one thing that kind of comes to mind when I saw this model kit, and years ago when I saw the other of the Caproni aircraft of this type, is like, wow, what a cool looking plane, because I mean, it cool pictures in the box art looked really cool to me. And then looking it up, and you know what? I think I'll read the passage here in this fantastic book here, if you can still find one of these around. This is the book that I picked up when I was a teen, and to me this was, kind of a dangerous book in a sense, because it got me really hooked on Italian Air Force planes of World War II, because it just showed me how cool they looked. A kind of a brutishly ugly aircraft. Not all of them, but I mean, there's some weird looking planes, and that just fascinated me. Granted, you've got the Marquis 202 and the Fiat G55, which are really elegant, beautiful, like Fiats of the sky, not Fiats, Ferraris of the sky, shall we say, and they just looked amazing. But some of these other planes, this is like the Marquis 200 with this radial engine, is I don't know, I think it's fascinating. And there you can see some Capronis down here, which are either doing a bombing run or a reconnaissance run here in Russia. Also notice that this is an open cockpit aircraft. So in Russia, think about that for a minute. Ugh, that'd be cold. Okay, so in the back of the book, it's the last plane in the book, we get this series here. Nice shot of the flying boat here from CANTZ there. Pretty cool. So here it is. And the story, it says, is among the various combat reconnaissance liaison twin-engine aircraft used by the Italian Air Force was the Libeccio, if I'm saying that correctly, which is the Southwest Wind. And it's a family produced by Caproni Bergamo. The series originated with the CA-308, Borea, which is the North Wind, which was a colonial mail and passenger aircraft. And then the CA-309 Gible, which was a colonial aircraft for training, liaison, and close air support. And then it mentions other models were the CA-310, 311, 312, then the 313 and 314, which are all reconnaissance aircraft bearing the same name of Libeccio. And there was a 316 float plane. So let's see. Top here is a 312 on top, which this kit's available also from Italeri. And then your 314 is down the bottom here. You can see that. And then we have, you can see the torpedo mounted on this one. It's got the stepped nose there. Still a lot of glass on it, just the same. So you can see the added cannon there, along with the torpedo. And this says, I find this rather amusing, it says the CA-314 RPB-1 torpedo bomber. These aircraft had more success in export service than they did in Italy. Their greatest defects were poor reliability and the lack of a precise role for them. Compared to the Beechcraft 18, they had neither the power nor the reliability of the U.S. twin. Despite this, the Italian Ministry of Defense purchased 256 of the CA-311s, 39 of the CA-312s, 182 of the CA-313s, 407 of the CA-314s, and 14 of the CA-316s, so a total of 898 aircraft, very few of which were put to any profitable use. Ouch! That's pretty harsh. This writer really went at him. So, but that, made me even more fascinated by this aircraft, because here we are, we've got models of these kits, 2 of them, which give you, I think, 4 options, 4 different types of these planes. And there's some other ones out there now by some other manufacturers other than Italeri. I don't know if it's Special Hobby. I forget the name of the other company. I'm sorry, it's blanking. But I was looking at them recently. So there are other versions of these planes out there, including ones that were used by Peru, Norway, Hungary, Yugoslavia. So a lot of these were sold and sent all over Europe. But it did make me wonder, for a plane that has such a lackluster performance, according to these guys, and was, by the sounds of it, a glorified clay pigeon. It just fascinated me that they made models of this thing. Granted, it looks cool. I think it's a beautiful looking plane, but apparently not a very effective or successful aircraft. But then that kind of makes me love it even more, because that's me. So here we go. We get a lot of glass in this kit. So there's a lot of this clear, and you have the choice of the different types of canopy types. Here's the one with the step nose. Here's the other one. Although masking this for for painting will be a lot of fun. I didn't see any masking sets out there by anybody, because I did search. Otherwise, it's going to be me and tape and an X-Acto blade having lots of fun. So here's your sprues here. Now there's another manufacturer, like I said, I'm blanking on it, but it had the fuselage halves were actually done in clear plastic with the glass in them, as if that might make it easier to put it together with all the glass and just paint everything else, as opposed to the other way around. As to how that works, I don't know. I haven't tried one, but I am curious to see how that would work. There's the interior there. And then we get crew, engine, nacelles, propellers. So not a whole lot to the kit, really. But I think there's enough to keep you busy. But for Italian planes, it seems like the biggest job is going to be on the painting. Unless you do the one that's just green and gray with no camouflage modeling on it, then maybe it's not so bad. Here's your decals. They look to be a little bit of yellowing, but not too bad. And they seem to be pretty much in register from my eyesight. So you have the Italian fascist markings up above. You have the French roundels there, and the Swedish emblems with the crowns. Although, actually, it looks like those crowns could be set a little higher, so maybe they're not quite in register. What do you think? Look like they might be a little off register. And you got a tail thing here for the French, as well as the white cross of the House of Savoy there for the Italians, with the coat of arms in it. So that's what's in the box. And again, look at all of the different breakdown of the different types on the side of the box. It's kind of important to hang on to that when you're working on this to decide which version you want to do and how you want to do it, because there's quite a bit you can do with this kit. Now, while I'm at it, I'm going to show you this very heavy and fantastic book if you're really into the Italian Air Force in World War II. This is a great book. Again, heavy, solid book. A lot going on here. Gives a good breakdown of the different units, where they were, what they did, and of course, lots of planes, and more planes, and some fantastic artwork. So, well, let's look at some Capronis and some other things too while we're at it. But ugh, this thing is heavy. So here's a 314 here, and this one is based in Sicily in January of 1943. And it says 2 CA-314s arrived on 21st October of 1942, and the unit began to convert to escort duties. There were 18 of the new type operational by 1st November. 4 days later, the unit carried out its first convoy escort. By the following January, it had added maritime reconnaissance to its roles. And the 10th Stormo moved to, I don't know, that's Jesse or Yessi, shortly after, with few, if any, aircraft, and they awaited re-equipment with the German Junkers 88As, which never arrived. So there's a look of kind of a standard one here in the dark green with gray. And of course the white theater stripe for the Mediterranean is on all of these aircraft. And let's look at one more here. Now this is the Caproni CA-313. This kit is available also by Italeri, and you see that that has the radial engines. You know, look at all that glass in the front there. And that really interesting paint scheme. And that one is in Mostar, which is in the former Yugoslavia. I don't know if that's Croatia, I think. And you'll see it's got the white Mediterranean theater bands, and it has the yellow there as well on the engines to mark that area. Anyway, fantastic book and a fun plane. I do find one of the challenges of working on Capronis or any Italian aircraft from World War II is that the paint schemes are very challenging to do, especially if you don't have an airbrush. I think it's kind of an airbrush kind of aircraft, if you know what I mean. Very intricate spots in the camouflage scheme. So yeah, I've been kind of waiting to get my hands on a decent airbrush to try to tackle these, because I tried doing these in the past. I had some success, but I need something that's going to get me a really fine line to get the fine camouflage schemes on these. So looking forward to trying that out in the near future, and I'll keep you posted on how that works out. All right, so that is this week's model building workshop, looking at another kind of an odd aircraft. Although readily available, I'm finding this is pretty easy to find either in shops around here in Rhode Island. You can still find some of these, and certainly on eBay. There's plenty of these among other Italian aircraft, if that's your thing. So we will see you next time on the next model building workshop. Take it easy now. Keep on building. Bye now.